Are men petrified by other men? I'm asking this question because I try to understand why men struggle with holding their fellow men accountable when it comes to how they treat women. Let's talk about this.
You know how afraid women, for a good reason, that you are afraid of men? What a lot of women perhaps may not know is how petrified men are of other men. As in, if I am walking at 1 a.m. and I see a group of 8 women walking towards me, they could be sloshed, they could be drunk and having fun. I don't experience any fear.
The last feeling you will experience is fear.
Is fear. They might laugh at me.
Right.
They might make fun of me. They
Right.
might make fun of the way I walk, whatever. But I do not have any fear. Do you know what happens when I'm walking at 1 a.m. and I just see 2 men approaching?
You run.
I immediately, my bladder fills up. I feel like I need to pee because I can sense that there is danger because I'm meeting men.
Men fear other men for so many reasons. Men fear being perceived as weaker than other men, be it emotionally, physically, financially. There is this deep competition around power, dominance, respect in male circles. The alpha male culture made men hyper aware of hierarchy, making them fear stronger or more successful men. Emotional vulnerability does exist amongst men as well. Men are often taught to suppress their vulnerability, especially around other men. They have this fear of mockery, judgment, loss of status when opening up emotionally to other men. As a result of that, many men don't trust other men with their emotional truths. This explains why men depend heavily on women emotionally.
I think the issue is men are scared to hold other men accountable. If y'all were to correct each other the way y'all should, oh my gosh, like the world would just be so many steps forward. Like,
I say this especially when it comes to women's safety. Men are also afraid of men. When men tell a woman, be careful of your safety, be cautious, be mindful of who you interact with, it's going to get deadly immediately. It's not because sometimes men don't want to hold other men accountable. It's because men know what other men are capable of doing. That is why men have respect between them. Because men know if I disrespect another man, it's going to turn violent really fast. Kicks are going to fly. That's why men have got the understanding of respect. I have to respect this other guy, otherwise I'm going to be murdered by this other guy. It's not personal. So when men tell women, be careful of other men, it's because even men know that how deranged certain men are, and it's the responsibility of women to hear it and to listen and to say, oh, my safety is very important, let me take care of myself. This is not to blame, the victims and the women who found themselves in certain situations, but it's just to put it out there and say, how do we have this conversation?
Some men are genuinely afraid of physical harm or intimidation by more aggressive men. Some men are more aggressive than other men. The internet says that male-to-male violence is statistically higher than male-to-female violence in so many societies. The bullying, the gang culture, even the workplace aggression can make the environment unsafe for other men.
Why do you think men don't speak up against other men? Are they intimidated too? Yeah, for sure. But I think when we talk about men being intimidated by other men, people think we solely mean physical intimidation, that men are afraid of being abused or harmed physically by that man. And although that is true in a lot of cases, because men are aware of the fact that the biggest threat to our safety as well is other men, the intimidation we fear is more the social intimidation. We know certain men, or the men with the right influence, has the power to ostracize us, to remove us from the community of men. We can be put out of friend groups. We could be dismissed by friend groups. So it's like, why would I threaten my position amongst my homeboys, amongst my peers, by speaking up against men's violence against women? The second reason we don't speak up against men is that internally, we don't believe men have the capacity to change. We don't believe men are going to change. We don't believe men can be better. We think the men that are bad are just a lost cause, right? So it gives us an opportunity to be lazy and be complacent and stay quiet by just saying, oh, that's just how he is, right? But also, because we believe that women are malleable, or women are changeable, or women are supposed to change for us, it makes sense to try to dictate women's behaviors than try to hold men accountable for their behaviors. Does that make sense? I hope that made sense.
I'm glad that we are hearing this from men. They believe that men don't change. And because they have this in their head that women are supposed to be the ones changing for them, they don't even make effort to change. So for those women choosing to date men that are obviously bad for you with the hopes that you can change him, I guess we all learn. The world we live in is dog eat dog. Men made it so. It's all about competition, hierarchy. I'm better off. I'm higher than you. I'm in control. That's why men love to control everything. They want to control their fellow men, control women. It is who they are. They created a society that way. He said men would rather stick together than be isolated, ostracized because of a woman, because they were trying to speak up for a woman. Men love themselves. Men love men's company. They want to be with each other.
Men don't just fear men because of violence. Men also fear men because they fear being embarrassed by another man, thus their masculinity being diminished in society, in public perception. It's not just about men fearing violence. They also fear society laughing at them if they challenge a man and it doesn't go well. That saying that goes something like, men fear being embarrassed and being laughed at, women fear being unalived. Yeah, this is it. This is it. Justin Scott made a video where he talked about vague masculinity, where men walk around with these blanket assumptions that because they're men, they should be able to achieve A, B, C, and D. One of those achievements is the assumption that men should be able to protect and defend if ever in a situation that's needed, right? I think a lot of men walk around with the idea that they think that if they were ever in that environment or situation, they'd be able to deliver in that way. However, they simultaneously dodge those situations to avoid it being, to avoid that thought being challenged in reality. I think a lot of these dudes dodge defending women because they fear, if I defend this woman against this dude and he beats my ass for everybody, then everyone's going to laugh at me and see me as less of a man. If I, clap back at this dude who's being ruthless with his mouth and he attacks me verbally and he wins, I'm then seen as less of a man. A lot of these dudes are, their masculinity and the social perception of the masculinity is so important to them that they rather go around avoiding it being challenged than to risk it being challenged and that public perception being negatively impacted. It's not just about men fearing violence. They also fear embarrassment. And yes, to them, their embarrassment is just as if, or that fear of embarrassment is just as if not more valuable than your life as a woman. Yes, ma'am. That's what I'm saying. Yes, ma'am. They're not just worried about their safety. They are worried about their manhood and their ego and pride around their manhood. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Let's read some comments. They care so much whether other men think they are good guy, stand up guy rather than actually being one. They'll lie through their teeth to another man about something they've done to a woman simply so they won't be embarrassed. Well, yeah, humans are social animals. We all are scared of being ostracized from the society, and that's what the patriarchy uses as a weapon to men to force them to comply. Pretty good explanation. We also live in fear of the day when we are not considered a threat or dangerous to anyone. It's why you see so many cranky and grumpy old men. The mind doesn't age, but the body does. The best hope is to have such a reputation when we get old that people will still praise our past works. No, ma'am, this one is not agreeing to what she's saying. No, ma'am, men fear wasting their lives for women to go right back to the man that was abusing them. This happens a lot. Also, women have told us to leave you all alone. Therefore, if you want protecting, go get to protect you and not expect a stranger to do so. So he's talking about women moving on, being independent, saying they don't want men should leave us alone. He just put that into this conversation. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about why men are scared of other men, why men don't speak up for women. We are talking about why men are not holding other men accountable for their bad behavior. You're right. This is why many of them keep making the argument, well, what if he doesn't change? I mean, you'd be doing your part in calling them out and hopefully separating yourself from that person. You're not getting audited for how many people you change. Just speak up.
Women, please learn how to lift weights Go learn how to shoot a pew-pew. Go do self-defense. You know why men are over here going crazy on Deontay? Men are scared of other men. If men are scared of other men, bitch, you gotta be ready for whatever. What the fuck? You need to be in the gym. You need to be dead weight lifting. You need to make sure you go to the shooting range. You need to go to martial arts. You need to learn self-defense. Stop playing. Stop trying to be cute. And then now all you bitches gonna be bony. Like, you gotta learn. This is survival of the fucking fittest, y'all. This is Animal Kingdom. You hoes do not listen. You don't listen to shit. Learn how to defend yourself. Learn how to save your own life.
You make a video about DL men. What you need to understand first is that men's lives revolve around male validation. Because in this manosphere, in this patriarchy, they need to have circles. They need to have groups. They have to move around in packs to survive. So in order for them to have a pack, they need to have validation from other men. And they need to validate other men. It is basically a whole circle jerk. Even if we're talking about the women that they pick, they need their friends to approve. And they're going to say, well, we don't need that. I pick on my own. No, they don't. No, they don't. Their whole hierarchy system within their circles needs to approve of what they're doing. Unless they are at the top of the hierarchy in their little hierarchy circles. Most of them are followers, though. And because most of them are followers, they need approval and validation from other men. So when you're talking about DL men, there's kind of a spectrum here. Like, how far would they go? Are they doing the bending, right? Or are they being bent over? Is it actually physical or is it just mental, emotional DL? But what you're saying in this comment, you feel like a lot are hateful towards their girlfriends. That's a first sign. Their need to be approved by other men is bigger than their need to be approved by women. Because it literally depends on their safety in the patriarchy. It's a dog-eat-dog world. They also won't make it up the totem pole if they aren't doing some bending. And it doesn't have to be physical, it could be mental. You can obviously look at Hollywood and all these other political positions, but if they want to move up, they have to become fruity. It's really like jail out there for them. And in prison, they have to assert which role they play. And it will either get really extreme, like what you're talking about, DL, or it will just stay like emotional DL. At the end of the day, it's all about male validation for them because it's literally like their safety. If they don't have a pack of sorts, they are not safe in the patriarchy. They have to move in groups. Otherwise, other groups will take control. Are they all DL? I don't know. Are they? I feel like there's a spectrum of it.
Male validation for men is a thing. Male approval from other men is a thing. It's like you being in high school, secondary school with cliques, or in prison. I've not been to prison before, but I've seen movies where they have different gangs. So for you to belong to a particular gang, you have to respect the people at the top. You have to seek validation. You have to seek approval from them. If you break their rules, they either take your life or kick you out of the gang. Them kicking you out of the gang means they are exposing you to other people in other gangs, which means they might come for you, take your life, or they might take you in. So it is a tough, fierce world for men out there. This might not apply to all men, but it's very common in the society. Then you talk about the workplace connection. If you don't dance to a man's tune, if you don't dance to his rhythm, it becomes difficult for you to get connected. It becomes difficult for you to find a work, especially if that man is connected. It is a world of hierarchy for men. It's all about who is above who, and this explains why they treat women the way they do. Not all men, but the bad men. How they view women, how they view relationship. This explains why they have this hunger for control. They have to dominate women because other men are dominating them. When it comes to women, it is an opportunity for them to exercise their power. It is an opportunity for them to shine, for them to control, because they've been controlled by other men in the society, by other men at their workplace, by other men in their church, in their social gathering. Where most of them have power and opportunity to control and dominate is when it comes to the women they have in their lives. That's why they struggle to let go of control. It's a power tussle for them. It's a do or die affair. It's either you let me control you or you forget about it.
In our current culture of masculinity, we have an accountability crisis. And most men are terrified of being accountable to one another. A lot of men conflate the word accountability with discipline, and they think discipline is punishment. So when we're thinking about accountability, something that might jump to our mind is I'm accountable to my workout plan, and no matter how I feel, I'm going to run those 10 miles, because if I don't, Goggins is in my ear calling me a bitch. And that's what discipline is, and so I'm going to be accountable to my workout plan. Discipline does not always mean punishment. Discipline can also just be a feeling of self-confidence that is built through habituating anything. And it doesn't have to be painful, and doesn't have to be punishment. However, accountability to other human beings is an act and expression of care and love. And the reason why we're so scared, so terrified, so cowardly as a culture of masculinity is because we are so afraid of being abandoned by men. So many of us have wounds of being rejected by fathers, by boys at school, by friends. We are so starved for masculine love that the thought of telling a brother, a friend, dude, you cannot use the R slur, brother. You're better than that. That is petrifying, because what if you look at me and say, don't be fucking sensitive, and because I said that to you, now you've categorized me as less trustworthy, I'm too sensitive, so you're not going to stop saying the R slur, but you are going to stop saying it in front of me and hanging out with me as much. And God, how scary is that? Because I don't have that many friends. And I like you, and I need my friends, right? So the same shit is happening in fraternities, at colleges, in high schools, in our fucking families, in our own families. So few men are willing to speak out about the harm that the men we know do. And it's little harms like, yo, stop calling shit zesty. That's just the revised, more appropriate way of the F slur. Stop that. You're better than that. Or it's serious, like, hey man, I know that you punched your wife, or I know that you yell in front of your kids. That's unacceptable. We are scared of being abandoned by men. We are also scared of violence, because the code of masculinity dictates that if I disrespect you, you got to square up with me. Conflict with another man is aggressive, and it should lead to physical violence. So I should avoid conflict unless I'm ready to stand on business. And why would I want that conflict to occur with a guy that I do care about, even if he's doing something wrong? So this word accountability is really fucking important. And what does it actually look like in practice, right? It's very important that we reframe this word accountability, and a conversation like that is not confrontational. It is a call in, it is an invitation, it's an expression of care. Hey man, I love you, I really care about you, I think you got a good heart. So when you use words like that, you're not living up to the man that I know you to be. I'd really appreciate it if you stop that. I don't want you to feel defensive right now, but I understand if this is hard. But this is coming from a place of care. I love you, dude. You shouldn't be saying shit like that. Or, brother, it is unacceptable for you to be acting that way in front of your children. I fucking love you. I care about you. So I'm bringing this up. Right? If I did care about you, I wouldn't say it. When you can invite someone using that language, I care about you, so I expect better from you. I love you. That's that love first language, that invitation. It is so much different than, don't say that fucking shit. Let's fucking stop it. Don't be an asshole, right? That is how we are all primed to approach these things. But man, you would be surprised if you can be brave enough to just soften a little bit. Like, hey man, I love you. You shouldn't be doing that. Truly transformed everything.
Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and if you'd love to watch more videos like this, click this video to watch pygmies changing their religion just to get picked by men, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.